Hello people of YouTube, Tazai once more, the Crimson Assassin, here today to give you guys another anime review. I've just been rolling with them anime reviews lately. Come on baby, let's keep it rolling, hopefully. Maybe I'll take a little break, but I'm here today to give you guys another anime review, and today's a very momentous occasion considering the fact that this anime is inspired and made by the same creator who made last year's epic One Punch Man, who's like, you all know how much everyone loved that anime. So, I'm here today to give you guys the review for Mob Psycho 100. So, Mob Psycho 100 follows Saitama, Kageyama Shigeo Kageyama, my apologies, aka One Punch, aka Mob, as he has these abilities called freaking, like, these awesome psychic abilities that make him completely overpowered, and just literally he can destroy anything and everything that moves. Like, his abilities are fucking awesome. We'll get into that. But as the anime progressed, you actually get a little more about him. You actually see him fight a couple enemies with the psychic powers, and really not trying to explain the story in too much great detail. It's just basically him trying to fend off these evil spirits while also trying to keep his insanity, because his psychic powers does take almost a toll on himself mentally, and you kind of go through his life and his struggle on trying to keep his insanity in check, but also trying to keep his psychic powers in check, and also just do other stuff. Yeah, that's not the best way I could explain the story, but it's a damn well decent one at that. So, people of YouTube, this is like the anime that is basically the One Punch Man of 2016, guys. Everyone was just talking and craving about Mob Psycho 100, saying that this is one of the best animes of 2016, next to ReZero. And to which I have to say, the anime is quite solid. And, I will admit, I actually did like this anime way better than I like One Punch Man earlier this year. In fact, I reviewed One Punch Man. It was the first anime I reviewed for 2016. So, I actually, kind of went into this anime with the expectations of, like, how I watched One Punch Man. But that's actually not the case of Mob Psycho 100. In fact, it was the complete opposite of what I thought. I mean, sure, it had a lot of similarities to One Punch Man, but to be honest, this anime could stand on its own, and I absolutely applaud it for that. So what are its pros and what are its cons? The first biggest pro I will give Mob Psycho 100 is, of course, the animation done by Studio Bones. It is freaking solid, and every time an action scene happens, or just anything involving the animation in general, I freaking ate that shit up. But it's a modern day anime, so that's what you kind of have to expect nowadays. But this one takes the icing on the cake on just how so lively, energetic, and just overall just filled with energy. It's just, oh my god, like every single scene put into it either had something crazy going on, or just outright freaking eye candy. The action scenes, oh my god, the action scenes. Like One Punch Man earlier this year, it was just great. I absolutely love the action scenes. It was very over the top, very epic. There's a lot of uses of psychic powers and how they would utilize their psychic powers to fend off against each other. It's pretty fucking awesome, if I do say so myself. Next, we have the story. Now, the story of the anime is quite basic and nothing really brand new. But will it keep you interested and invested throughout? Yes, it will. It's a very solid, decent story. Not the best story, but it is one well worth your time. But the one thing I will give praise to the story is on what they did with their main character, Mob, aka Kageyama Shige, or Shigeo Kageyama, whatever. I absolutely love that. There's a lot of things happening in the anime that kind of affect Mob's mental state. He kind of has like this pride almost. You know, he has like this rule where he refuses to use his psychic powers against other human beings because, you know, they're human beings and they can't, you know, some people can't use psychic powers. He only uses psychic powers against the spirits and whatnot that, you know, plague and try to hurt the innocent. And to that which I say, great. I like a man that has pride and freaking has, you know, pride, like I said, on what he does, and I absolutely love that. But also, there's a lot of things that happen that Mob witnesses and Mob sees that kind of take him over the edge, which kind of makes him pretty realistic and also very damn relatable. And speaking of the characters of the anime, I really enjoyed most of the characters of the anime, ranging from their main to somewhat support and to others, which we'll get into later, that was just useless. I very much enjoyed a minority of the characters. For starters, you have our main character, Mob. As I mentioned before, I love what they did with his character, how he goes through, what is his drive, you know? And I also love his little internal conflict with himself. Like, he doesn't really know what to do with himself. I mean, sure, he has these psychic powers, but he honestly doesn't know what to do with them. And even if he uses them on a poor chance, someone can end up getting hurt. And I absolutely love that. He's just a well-told and interesting character, and you really grow attached to Mob. I also like his relationship with this con artist that he calls as his master, Reagan. I absolutely love it, and their banter and exchanges between one another is quite gold. I also like this one little spirit character that you'll meet in the 3rd episode of the anime and throughout the entirety of it. His name's Dimple. I absolutely loved the little guy. He was pretty funny. He had his really cool lines. He had a pretty funny exchange with Mob, and it's just overall very fun. I also love the various other espers who use their psychic powers, like Hanazawa, I believe his name is. And at first you kind of don't really like the guy, but as the anime kind of progresses, you actually kind of grow to liking the guy. But he's still not really fully like developed. Like, you don't really get a lot of development out of him, but his character kind of does like a 180 throughout the middle of the anime, and I did appreciate that they did that. It's pretty solid. And honestly, guys, that's all pretty much the praise I can give Mob Psycho 100. The rest of the anime, where do I start? The first and biggest issue that I would say, or more like I'm disappointed, is that there's a bunch of side characters in the anime that was introduced and you feel like they were kind of, you know, going on with something with their, you know, story arc or whatever, but they're just sidelined and they didn't really get much screen time. Like, there's just one girl that, you know, was a part of like this telepathy club, but they end up getting kicked off, and, you know, she was sort of having a relationship with Mob, and that, you know, she wants to see, like, you know, go to, like, outer space and some shit. Like, you could tell that they were trying to do something with this character, but they gave up halfway through, and I didn't like that, you know? Like, you know, you're gonna give me, you know, screen time with this character, you want me to get invested in her, but yet you're just gonna sideline her in the towards the end. There's another useless character, which, oh my god, like, there's a lot of, like, useless characters in the anime that if you were to literally take them off, nothing would change. Like this one girl from the photography club, I literally forgot her name, and she's like in 3 episodes, and her scenes are very minuscule, and you don't get a lot. Like, she is very useless. Like I said, they were trying to, you know, build her up or something like that, but she's really just sidelined, and she doesn't really get much screen time. I'm like, you know, you're gonna give me screen time with this character, yeah, you're just gonna keep completely sidelining. Like I said before. The fuck? The second half of the anime, you know, it kind of takes a story very seriously. And it's not to say that I don't like a serious story, but with a concept like Mob Psycho 100, and it's trying to tell a really serious and deep story, I mean, it's not bad to a lot of people, but it kind of irked me because it has such a over-the-top concept like psychic powers, yet you're gonna try to make it more deeper than it already is. I mean, it's an over-the-top concept, yet you want to make it a deep story. I don't think it works like that, honestly. And plus, there's a lot of things that happen in the second half of the anime that completely and utterly pointless, and again, a lot of characters introduced in the second half of the anime completely squandered. And, like, there wasn't really much build-up to the second half of the anime, and I felt like it was kind of short or really rushed at that. Had this anime been pretty long, I probably wouldn't have a problem with the second half because they would have had more time, showing, like, who is this real organization, blah, 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 and all that stuff. But then you really kind of need to give me more time with the characters and more time. I mean, it's only 12 episodes long. I mean, I can't really hold them against it because it's only, like I said, it's only 12 episodes long. But at the same time, you're trying to cram in a bunch of fights and a bunch of shit and a bunch of over-the-top crap that kind of didn't make any sense. Kind of didn't. It was very mediocre. And not to mention the second half, very cliche. Like, called that. Oh, and they copped out a bunch of times in the second half. Like, that's not to mention that. Like, there's this one thing that happens at the end of episode 11 that I felt could have worked. That it would have blown my mind if they actually went through with it. But of course, they decided to cop out and stuff. And episode 12, the anime just ends. It literally, like, just ends. Like, there was a bunch of reveals. There's a bunch of stuff happening. And, there's a bigger enemy in there. But, it's your classic read the manga ending. Because, we're greedy and we like to make money off of anime. Because anime is free and you watch it on television. But the manga, you gotta pay that money, son. You gotta pay that money. Pay me that money for the mangas, Fuck that. No, I hate read the manga endings. It's so stupid. Now, I know I'm being pretty harsh on the anime, but that's not to say that I don't like it. In fact, like I said before, I like this anime more than I liked One Punch Man. You see, and people always like to, compare apples to oranges when it comes to Mob Psycho and One Punch Man. Like I said, they do have a lot of similarities, but if you just think about the anime itself, like each anime individually, you can definitely spot the differences. Mob Psycho tends to have a really serious story, and One Punch Man tends to have a really over-the-top and very not-so-serious story. And Mob Psycho kind of has so many layers to its story. One Punch Man is just one punch, one punch, one punch, one punch. It's kind of like that. And, there's so many differences between the animes that I can go on all day, but honestly, I'd be taking too long. So with that being said, people of YouTube, do I enjoy One Punch Man? Yes. I do think it's probably one of the best animes I saw this year, and probably will make a good spot on my top 10 best animes of 2016. So, people of YouTube, with that being said, my final verdict for I like to call it One Punch Man. My final verdict for Mob Psycho 100 is a solid 8.5 out of 10. It is definitely a great anime, and I do recommend you guys go check it out. Especially if you loved One Punch Man late last year, you will have a great time watching Mob Psycho 100. I can guarantee you that. With that being said, people of YouTube, I want to give a special shout out to my friend Danny, who begged me to watch Mob Psycho 100. I finally did it, buddy. I hope you're happy. And stay tuned. I will get hopefully another horror anime in, we'll have to see. And I also plan on watching something very special, or do a special anime review for the night of Halloween, or maybe just like a special video or something. But that being said, I don't want to ramble too long. Tazai the Crimson Assassin, signing out. Peace, YouTube.